Welcome to the Rural Pastor Podcast with your host, Andy Addis, and special guest, Mark Clifton.
We plant the seeds in the ground, though the fields have long been brown. But Lord, when will your harvest come in? I'm giving all I've got to give in the place where I've been sent. But will my labor make much difference in the end? Will no one ever know? Sometimes I feel so all alone. Like the prophet Jeremiah, you may be the one to go to the dying and the broken with a message of hope. To that church on the corner of that forgotten little town, to a room of empty pews where his love can still be found. You may never know of all the seeds you sow, but it just takes one willing soul to make him know.
I got to tell you, I'm still having some Chosen Road Afterglow. Got to spend the last 3 days in Atlanta with them leading worship and just a room full of directors of missions and pastors and practitioners. What a great time that was. But I'm excited to be here with you. And it's not just me today, and it's not our normal co-host. We have increased the beauty quotient of the Rural Pastor Podcast today. I'll explain that in just a second. You were listening to the Rural Pastor Podcast. We want to pour into, partner with, and pat on the back the rural pastor, because we know that what you're doing is so important. And one change today, we have a different co-host with us. My name is Andy Addis. I'm the volunteer rural strategist for the North American Mission Board Replant Team, as well as the lead pastor for a multi-site rural network. But normally I'm joined with Mark Clifton, helping run the show here, and he is the executive director for the North American Mission Board Replant Team. But he has been crazy sauce busy. It has been, and that wouldn't stop him from being here, because he's preached, I think, 3 different states over 2 days. Goodness. And he's still on the road right now. But we thought, because he and I had been doing this series on marriage, ministry marriage, it would probably be a good idea to bring a ministry spouse in here for a part of this. So I would like to welcome to the microphone for the very first time of the Rural Pastor Podcast, Miss Kathy Addis.
Hello. Hello.
You're not a stranger to doing this. We do this together. We have a weekly podcast that we do with Bible study called Crosspoint Extra Large CPXL. And we are currently going through
Galatians.
Yes, as part of a year-long series studying Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, which you affectionately refer to as
Gary Eats Pork Chops. The song's too hard to sing to get those all in order, so it's just easier.
I got you. So if you want to know more, you have to go to crosspointnow.net and look up podcasts, and you can join us for that journey as well. But I'm really glad that you're here, because we want to talk about marriage. We want to talk about ministry marriage, and we'll be straight up. We've had a great marriage and have some real positives, but it hasn't always been that way. Right. This is not, what'd you call it? Rainbows and
lilacs, I think is what I said.
Rainbows and lilacs. Not rainbows and lilacs. I would say no unicorns either.
No.
But we've had a great marriage. So let's just put some ministry cred, marriage cred on the table real quick. Okay. I'd like you, why don't you kind of give a background? How long we've been married, describe our family, what kind of ministry have we been involved in, and just kind of give a framework to hang this discussion on, so that people who are listening, whether husband or wife, will be able to say, okay, I can identify with you at this point.
Okay. We've been married 28 years.
28 years, which means, by the way, I'm going to quit interrupting you in a second.
Sure.
But 28 years, we've been married longer than we haven't been married.
That is true. We have been married longer.
I'm 52, and you're younger than that. But
by 4 very long months.
But we've been married longer than we have been married.
That's right.
28 years.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Sorry.
28 years. And we have 2 kiddos, which we got in seminary.
Unplanned.
Because we were told when we left that you can't leave seminary without kids. And we're like, oh no, we're not going to have kids for years. And ta-da.
Yeah, 2 kiddos.
Yeah. Right before graduation, we had our second.
Noah and Nathan.
Noah and Nathan. And we graduated and stayed. Well, no, we stayed in that church. And then,
on the train.
and then in 2002, that was in Texas and at good old Southwestern. And then in 2002, God called us to Kansas.
That's right. And we've been serving at this church for 20 years.
20 years.
20 years. Now, you married into ministry.
True. Yeah.
Because when, what was I doing when we got married?
You were a youth pastor.
And a grad student.
And a grad student.
And a disc
jockey. And yeah. And then, and I was working 60 hours a week. How did we still not have any money? I don't
Well, we weren't smart.
No, that's true. Yeah, that was the biggest point of it, probably. And so then you were youth pastor when we got married, and then for 2 years, and then we went to seminary, and you were like, I'm taking off. That's right. I'm not going to work in a church. School. I'm just going to go to school and have a job like everybody else. And that lasted 2 months, something like that.
Here's the problem. I went to work at Walmart because you could get a job. And I'm colorblind, but they put me in charge of paint. I was failing every day. I was like built to not succeed in that role.
Fantastic. It really was funny. I mean, your frustration was not funny. It was funny now, but yeah. So you immediately went to work as a youth pastor
and found joy again.
Yeah, and then you ended up by God's design pastoring that church.
Same church, yeah.
Until 2002.
And then we're here. So I've only pastored a couple churches, but you've been with me from the very beginning.
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah.
And we've had ups and we've had downs, and we're very thankful to be where we are right now. But what we want to say is if you're listening to this and you're frustrated or you're on the other end and things are really dark, there were days that we looked at each other and wondered, and said out loud, do we need to stay together?
Yeah.
I mean, so we've been to the bottom. And so with that in our back pocket, we want to have that conversation with you because this is important. So what I love about ministry is ministry amplifies everything. Mm-hmm. And when things are really good, everybody thinks you're amazing and your family is awesome. So let me just couch it in this way. Can you tell me right now, what is our household Wi-Fi password? And I know I'm going to have to change it. I'm going to have to change it.
Why would you ask me that on here?
Because it's important. What is our Wi-Fi password?
It was, what's it like?
What's it like?
What's
it's a question.
It like?
And the reason that we have that is because
usually at church, it's when someone will come up and tell us as your family just how amazing you are and how funny you are and how we must just laugh all the time.
Don't you have the greatest dad in the world? And we always just stand there and say, oh, that's so sweet of you. And then when they walk away, I turn around and look at whoever I'm with my family and go,
what's it like?
What's it like?
What's it like? Oh, my gosh.
Must be amazing.
And you can almost hear the eye rolling.
So I make them log in with that particular question.
Yeah.
When they use
well, not anymore, I guess. So
no, it's got to change now. I just ruined one of my favorite daily jokes, but I wanted to share that because that's the image that people have. Mm-hmm. And conversely true. If things are moderately off, then everybody's like, oh, there's trouble. There's trouble. Yeah. And we don't want to live in those extremes. We want to live in the truth of God's word. So let me start by offering this. One of the great truths of God's word is in Mark chapter 12. And this isn't necessarily about marriage, but by the transitive property, I'm going to show you that it is. In Mark 12, 29 through 31, Jesus is asked what the most important law is. And he says, the most important one is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And the second one is this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. So he's saying love God with these four elements: heart, mind, soul, and strength. And then he says, and love your neighbor with the same way. And if we are supposed to love God that way and love our neighbor that way, by A equals B, B equals C, so A equals C, I think that we can easily say we should love our spouse in the same way.
I agree.
With all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And so I want to take those four categories and kind of have a conversation about some healthy things from a couple that's been to the bottom and back to the top and knows what it is to be everywhere in between.
Yeah.
But what is it to love God with all your heart? Now, there could be many manifestations of this, but when I think about the emotional or almost the romantic part of this, I would say one way to keep loving your spouse with your heart is you have to date them.
Yeah.
You know the expression, how you got them is how you got to keep them. We say that in church all the time. If you get them with the big show, you got to keep them with the big show. But the truth is, we won each other by learning to love each other through a dating process. And when I say dating, date nights are so important. But not just a date night. You have to date them. What does that mean to you when I say that?
Well, I immediately think of when the boys were little, especially just being at home with them all day long. I mean, you're in kid kingdom from the time they wake up, whenever that might be, until another grown up is in the house to talk to. And I just remember about noon on Thursday, because that is date night. I would just start to get really excited, and not just that I get to get away from my perfect little angels who never made me want to jab my eyes out.
Fibber.
Yeah, for real. But just that I get to spend time with my husband. And I would make sure I actually had a shower, which if you have littles at home, you know what I'm talking about.
That's right.
And I would put on some makeup, and I mean, it was exciting. It was something I really, really would look forward to.
Well, and it's because the date night, we weren't just going out for an evening as a married couple. We were still trying to date. So like you said, you took a shower and you put on some makeup, and you don't have to do that. But what you were doing is you were setting the bar for expectation. Right. Do you remember when you were dating, you would like clean your car and they had this false impression of you because everything was always put together. And so like when we go on date night, I don't just like run my hand across the seat and move all the fast food wrappers to the floor, go, come on, step on in. We treat it like we're still dating and romancing one another. And it's because of that keeps that white hot romance alive as best we can. The world's going to try and extinguish that. Children will try and snuff that fire out.
Right.
So you have to be intentional about doing that. And I find it really funny, the intentionality of it. We've been at our church long enough that if I asked any campus, any location, said, hey, when's the pastor's date night? The whole room's going to echo back.
Thursday.
That's right. Because they know you better be bleeding from the eye socket if you bother pastor on Thursday.
Yeah.
And it's not just that, but it models it as well. Because we've been out on a Tuesday, a Saturday, and they go, hey, and they'll point at their table and they'll go, it's our date night. We're out on our date night. And we're, good for you. We won't bother you.
As we walk by.
That's right.
Yeah,
because you're on your date night. But again, the heart of this isn't just an event. It's not about, and I hear this. People say, I can't afford to go on a date night.
You can't afford not to go on a date night.
Ooh, drop the mic, woman. Yes. And eat. We've dated when we didn't have any money. Yeah. Let's give a couple ideas. What do you do on a date night with no money?
Well, first of all, it's very disappointing, but you eat at home. Which is never fun.
Because dating doesn't mean you have to eat.
Right. It doesn't mean you have to eat, but you do have to eat. I mean, it has to be a part of your daily ritual.
Right.
But eating at home, and then like we've gone to get a cup of coffee, or usually it's you get a cup of coffee, I get a chai tea, and we share a brownie.
That's right.
And it's like $7.
And we can watch a movie on a laptop.
We can watch a movie on a laptop. We can play Scrabble.
That was one of my favorite moments as we were watching a movie. It was a submarine movie.
Oh, gosh.
And you were wearing headphones and you were trying to hide from the sound, but you like cupped your ears and made it even louder.
Okay, so submarine movies are not good for claustrophobics. That's all I'm saying. It was a bad choice. But.
Okay, so very little. You, by the way, let's just say this. Anything without children
is a date.
Is a date night. Walking around Walmart.
Yeah.
Even getting groceries sometimes. If you're just flat busted and you don't have any time, I just got to go get groceries night. Go get them together.
Get them together.
And let me explain. We had one extremely creative free date night at Walmart. We started off this way. We went and got each other cards and showed each other what, if we had money, we would have bought.
Yep.
So here's the card I would have got you. Oh, that's so sweet.
That was like half an hour. We stood there and laughed at cards.
Yeah. And we picked a card. But then we went and picked out 3 outfits. Something saucy, something country, something country and something fancy.
Something ridiculous or something. I don't remember.
And then we
exactly.
went to the dressing room and we put on a fashion show for each other.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
came out and modeled all three.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was so much fun. Do you remember there were a couple of employees who figured out what we were doing and
Yeah.
they started to applaud us?
Yeah. They thought that was a hoot.
Here's the deal. A date night doesn't have to cost you a dime.
Right.
It's about spending time together. And
That's exactly
it's
right.
about being in each other's place and being
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Do you know what kills date nights is cell phones?
Oh, I cannot say amen loud enough to that.
It-
You can't compete with a cell phone.
Nope.
I can't compete with whatever it is that you're looking at.
Yeah.
I can't.
It owns you.
Yeah.
Right? It dings and you respond. So here's the deal. A date night is important, but that's just because it's something to orbit around. What's really important is that you have the experience of dating.
Yeah.
That you continue to woo and be excited about and prepare for those moments together.
And I don't know if you're going to bring this up later, but the idea, one ground rule that we had very early on was that we were not to talk about work or kids.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember there were a few times that we
What
were
do we
like,
talk
what
about?
do we talk about? Like that was my whole world.
Yeah.
Like I'm kid centric at that point. You know, they were little and they demanded every single second of my day. And I'm like, I don't even.
And
So
as we got older, we relaxed that a little bit.
Right.
But it was very important that we didn't stay in another world when we were trying to be in each other.
But it caused us to you had to start asking questions about me, and I had to do the same for you to find out things. What else was happening in your world
Which
besides
is what
work?
you do when you're dating. You're
Exactly.
learning about each other.
Yeah, and it's easy to get lost.
So love the Lord your God with all your heart. Love your neighbor with all your heart. Love your spouse with all your heart. And I believe you have to date them. Here's the second thing. With all your mind. So what is the mental aspect of continuing to improve our marriage in ministry? I think, again, I've just got this game plan for us. There's more than this. These are all just tip of the iceberg kind of thoughts. In our mind, we have to have boundaries, both positive and negative. And these boundaries are going to help us maintain a healthy relationship. So let me give you a positive boundary, meaning that this is a rule. In my world, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. If Kathy calls, I'm going to answer that call. And I've just made that decision, not because I'm anticipating an emergency. It's because even if I'm counseling another couple, my marriage is more important to me than the marriages of anybody else. And so I'm always going to answer that call. And I'm glad, because you sometimes think, oh, he's speaking right now, I'm not going to call.
Yeah. Sunday morning, 11 o'clock, I'm calling.
Because I would answer, right? If I see you calling, you know the rule. That's a positive boundary. That is, when I say a boundary, it means like I've set a bar, I've set a standard, and this is what you mean to me. And for me to say it's a rule, so I don't have to make a decision. Do I take this now? Do I not take this now?
Right.
Yeah, I've already made the decision. I have mentally in advance decided what I'm going to do in that situation. And I think you have to have some positive boundaries like that. Now, let me give you a negative boundary before we have a discussion on it. One of the negative boundaries is that we said we're never going to be alone with a member of the opposite sex. And I know in our culture that they talk about having a work wife. Let me just say this. If you're a pastor and you have a wife, you better not have a work wife.
Yeah.
That may sound legalistic of me. And you go, no, it's just a playful term. No, I'm just telling you right now. The history of faithfulness and unfaithfulness marks this to be true, that you better have some stark boundaries right there. So much so, and this is where some people I know will fall off with us, but we're going to set this out here. In our marriage, we don't text or email a member of the opposite sex alone. You even members of our grow group, you'll always include me if you're going to text one of the guys, and I'll include you. Now, every now and then, somebody gets your number, somebody gets your email, and they send it to you.
Sure.
And unless it's just a quick, hey, can you send me this, something at work?
Right.
If it's ongoing, what do? I open up the phone and say, hey, I want you just to look through this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I'll
they're
always have the
usually
option to
really
read it,
boring.
which I don't want to, but I mean, I will. And honestly, as a wife, if I get that little check in my spirit that maybe there might be more than what you're seeing, and I'll tell you, I'm like, I don't like that.
Right.
And you've always been good, like, okay, shut it off. That's that,
'cause
period.
I don't know if this is a male stereotypical thing, but I have what they call male pattern blindness.
It's true. It's
I just don't see everything.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm not perceptive enough. Some guys do, and they pretend they don't. I mean, but I think there really are a lot of things that sometimes just right over the top of the head.
Sure.
But I have to trust you with that. And the
Yeah.
way we do that is we've already set boundaries.
Right.
There was one night. Do you remember? It was a snowy night. We were wrapping up. You didn't even come to church that night, and we were almost called it off, but we ended up having Awana or whatever. You were at home, and as we started to shut things down, I realized it was just me and our children's. Our children's director, Siobhan, and she's been a good friend for years.
Mm-hmm.
But as I realized, I go, we got to get out of here. It's just the two of us, and we were laughing about it. So we locked up the building, headed out, and that's when I realized you had dropped me off.
I had taken one of the boys home.
That's what it was.
And you were carless.
So snowy night, difficult. Boys are already in bed, and we're like, what do we do? So I called you, and we put you up on the dashboard, and you drove home with us.
Yeah. I'm like, guys, this really not. It's okay.
And Siobhan and you had a conversation. I just sat over there staring out the window.
Which is probably what it would have been had I been in the car, actually.
Now, why did we do that? Because we had already drawn lines.
Yeah.
And I think mentally, you need to think, what are the standards that we are willing to live by? What are the standards that we want to achieve? What are the positive and the negatives? So your thoughts on those over the years as we've established those boundaries. We've never really moved them. We've changed some. We've added some. We've taken some away, depending on the season of life. But we've always had boundaries, and like even financial boundaries. When we first started, it was like, we are so broke. If you're going to spend more than $20, we need to check
talk
with
to
each other.
Yeah. Part of that was, do we have $20 to spend? But yeah. But there were times that we were more lax in our boundaries. And that was part of, it opened us up to a lot of issues that maybe we wouldn't have had otherwise
if we had the boundaries.
Yeah, and we just learned over the years that there are some things that just have to be steadfast, and especially when our boys grew up and my world got a little bigger, and I was more involved in ministry that involved having to talk to men and having to have conversations that I either have their wife on a text string if I have to ask them, or
we
you
meet in public places,
or we meet in public. We just, it doesn't have to be awkward or weird, but it's just, this is just how it is with us.
Usually what keeps you from doing it is it's inconvenient. But if inconvenient, here's the issue. Nobody has ever tripped and fallen into bed with somebody
That's
else.
exactly right. Yeah.
It's never been an accident. It's always been little by little, gradual by gradual, that there's this progression. Well, if you make decisions as awkward or as inconvenient as they are that keep you from going down that path, you're not going to go down that path.
Right.
So we could talk more and more on this, but let's keep moving.
Okay.
With all your heart, we love them. We got to date them. With all your mind, you got to have boundaries, both the positive and the negative. With all your soul. Now, this one should be a given, and it's just not in ministry. But you have to, the relationship of the husband and wife has to be centered around God and not the good. Our relationship with each other has to be centered around, we have to orbit God and not the good. And what happens so often is that we replace God at the center of our relationship with ministry at the center of our relationship, or service or even family. And what happens is that pastors end up having affairs with the church.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And you don't, and it's almost noble, but you got to understand, the church is called the bride because she's already got a husband.
Ooh.
And you don't want to mess with him.
Yeah. I hear he's a jealous type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he gave you a bride, Pastor,
That's
so
right.
you love on her and you serve the church.
Yeah.
And there is a completely different. So to love each other with all your soul, ironically, means less about romance between us and more about romance between us and God.
Yeah.
And how do we all have an individual relationship with
Sure.
him, but how do we have a relationship with him? Here are other ways that your soul can get misplaced, centered not around God, but around the good. Your relationship orbits around the kids.
Yeah.
And how many times have we heard the stories that they were married 30 years and then they just split up? Well, what
Kids
happened is the kids left.
grew up. Yeah.
Their life changed and they realized what we'd been depending on What we had been orbiting
Right.
is not the thing that's going to be with us forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one more, and this one's going to be a little tough, but don't couple everything. Meaning we always have to be with somebody else.
Yeah.
We always have to be doing something else. We need to learn to be content with God alone and with God with each other. And how do you keep the good things away from the center of your gravitational pull and make sure it's God at the center of your gravitational pull? I'm just interested in you, because we struggle with it, because it's so easy to let ministry take center stage.
Oh, sure.
How do we keep God at the center instead of the good at the center? Any thoughts?
Well, I think you have to. It has to start with your individual walk. I think if I am out gallivanting around instead of spending time with Jesus, then whatever time you and I spend, I can't make that my quiet time. I can't make that my time with God.
Your own devotional time.
Right. And it won't be as I don't want to say as important, but
It's intimate.
yeah. And so I think that your individual walk has to, and it's going to reflect in everything in your world. If you're not walking, if you don't have a relationship with Jesus that is strong, or at least, that you're in it, everything else around you, everything else in your world is going to begin to crumble as well.
Well, here's what we know. If the only time you read the Bible is at church, you're not a healthy believer.
Right.
If the only time you pray is at church, you're not a healthy believer. As a couple, if the only time you worship is at church, then you're not a healthy couple. If the only time you pray as a couple is at church, then you're not a healthy couple. There has to be a we before there is an us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There has to be what we are doing. We are coming together before the Lord for our household. And yes, all of us go to church, but what are we doing? And one of my favorite things, and I know this seems like a simple thing, but we individually have quiet times. But whenever we have a day off, whenever we have any extra time, you and I have our quiet times at the same time. At opposite ends of the dining room table. And there's just something special about being able to look up and see my wife journaling. I hope you think the same when you look over and I'm
kneeling.
old. I got my old knee pad because I'm old.
He's got his kneeler.
And I get down and I kneel. But then in that same moment, if I hear Kathy in the quietness of our quiet time go, oh, I know that is her instruction for me to go, what did the Lord tell you?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And so we then get in each other's worlds there. And that leads to the fact that when I go away for a couple days, you're praying for me at the front door.
Yeah.
Where you even if I'm late, you don't care. You grab me and we're going to pray over this.
Yeah.
That when we make a big decision about something, we're searching the scriptures together and we're having godly conversations about that. Because it's not, we have to if we center our lives around our kids, both our kids are out the door already.
Yeah.
We're in trouble right now.
We talked about that we're staring down the barrel of a long time together, just the two of us. So we better make sure that.
Did you just mix a metaphor?
Did I? Probably. Yeah.
You're so good at that.
I'm terrible at it, and that's okay. I don't care. You knew what I meant.
I did.
So,
I did.
But really, we did have that conversation before Noah got married. That
Here it comes.
we better like each other because we got a lot of years together.
And so what we started doing is we've had things we've done as a family. We started looking for things. What are we doing together?
Yeah.
What are just you and I going to enjoy? And it's been actually been fun.
It has been. But, I was thinking for couples that are maybe if you cannot have Jesus conversations just between the two of you, that might be a red flag that there's something going on.
Absolutely.
That because sometimes you and I don't do Bible studies well together.
No. And I don't think you have to have a family devotional where you all sit around the fireplace and Dad preaches.
Even just the two of us, we have a hardest time getting through a Bible study book. I don't know what the deal is with that, but we do have Jesus conversations and we do talk scripture and we do pray with each other. And so I think I always feel bad. For years, I'm like, man, we're terrible at that. But it's because that's
just not us.
Well, and we study the Bible differently. Yeah. We have different methods of doing it and stuff. And so God is just like, hey, but you're still talking to me. we're still having fellowship together. So I think if you, as a couple, feel like it's too awkward or too weird to just have a Jesus conversation.
Don't do what everybody else has done. Right? That's not the formula for you.
Right.
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 And it is possible to have a vibrant spiritual relationship together without Christian resources.
What?
Yes. But if they help and draw you together,
Sure.
that's great. But,
Yeah, absolutely.
all right. So we're
moving
pushing
on.
time here.
Yeah.
Love the Lord your God, heart, mind, soul, and strength. We love our spouse with our heart. We continue to date them. We love our spouse with our mind as we set good, positive, and negative boundaries. We love our spouse with our soul because we're centered around God and not the good. We need to be intentional and ask ourselves those questions. And finally, with all your strength. And here, this is going to seem a little simple, but you got to give marriage effort. It's hard work.
Right.
It is the physical exertion part of your marital walk. It just takes effort.
It really does.
It doesn't just happen. Let me give you a couple areas. First of all, forgiveness. Forgiveness.
Yeah.
We have to forgive each other because you are a human being and you will fail one another.
Right. Yeah.
And forgiveness, if we love that great passage in that they use in the weddings, keeps no record of wrongs.
That is true.
So working through that is a process. Another one, communication. And these two are going to go hand in hand because what I read years ago that when it comes to conflict, for issues of forgiveness and communication, some people are pursuers. Wow, 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 wow. They're the Pac-Man. Wow, 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 wow. They're chasing you down, right? And some are withdrawers. And they're going to run. I don't want to talk to you about this. And you think, what a horrible combination. It's actually the best combination. If you have two pursuers, I mean, you got two people who are just at each other constantly. If you got two withdrawers, you got two people who never fought, and then they were on the news because somebody got stabbed with an ice pick after all of those years. But a pursuer and a withdrawer just need to learn how to communicate.
Right.
And we don't have time to go through this right now, but there are ways to do that. And if you're really interested, I think I've got an old sermon where we talked about how to do that. Just email me here at the Rural Pastor Podcast, and I'll dig that up and give that to you. But you have to learn how to communicate. Forgiveness is intentional. Communication is intentional.
Right.
And then I want to end on this. Biblically assigned roles are intentional. And we have this great passage in Ephesians 5:22 and following. Let me read it for us. Wives, submit to your husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, his body, and is himself its Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit in everything to their husbands. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of the water of the word, so that he might present the church to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle, or any such thing, that she may be holy and without blemish. In the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. So this is important, and I know that it's kind of got some buzzwords like, oh, submit. Oh, no, I knew you were one of those guys. No. If you back this passage up, it begins, remember, Paul didn't write Ephesians 5, verse 1.
Right.
At the end of Ephesians 4, it says, submit one to another. This is a practice we both have to learn how to do. In the economy of the marriage, it says that wives, you are to submit, but the word submit really is a word for respect. And it says, husbands, that you are to love. And when it says you're to love, it's qualified. As Christ loved the church. And what did Christ do?
He died for her.
He died for her.
Yeah.
So if you got to choose between submit and death, I mean...
A little respect isn't so hard in the grand scheme of things.
But what it really boils down to is this. When I say that marriage takes work, it takes effort, what we normally find... I've counseled people for 30 years in ministry, been just over 30 years in ministry. And here's what I find. That we try and show people what we want instead of giving them what they need. So if a wife feels like she isn't being loved, husbands, love your wives. What she will do is she will try and love on him. She'll send notes and be sweet, and she's sending the signals for everything that she wants.
Right.
And a husband, he doesn't feel respected. So he's going to work harder and bring home more and get a better office and show her how good
Take good care of her.
And what we do is we give each other what we want instead of providing the other what they need. And if we see this clearly, the Bible teaches us, husbands, love your wives. Put her on a pedestal. Love her so much that she has no doubt if there was a bullet in a gun headed towards her that you would dive and eat that thing for her because you would give your life for her. That's how much you love her. And because she knows that, it will be easy for her to respect you.
Yeah.
And you will know, here's the deal. If I'm 52, been married for 28 plus years now. But when I hear you say positive things about me, I'm like, I am the man.
As you should.
And I feel that respect.
Yeah.
But we get caught in these traps of me trying to show you what I want instead of giving you what you need. And the irony is that when you show me that kind of respect, makes me want to love you even more. And when I love you better, that makes you want to respect. Is this a fair cycle? Am I saying it correctly?
Yes, I agree. Yes. Yep.
That's fantastic. But to do that takes effort.
It really does. And communication is huge. If you know what you need, if you know yourself enough to know that I don't know. I don't want to bring up the whole 5 love language things because
but what are your
get
love
them all
languages?
confused.
Yeah.
But if you know that about yourself and you can talk to each other, especially if you're early on, that's the best. But even when you're old and been in the game a while, like we have, I can tell you, I really like it when you do da 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 da.
Yeah.
And even on those date nights when you're by yourself and you've prayed because you're centering your relationship on Christ, have that conversation. So I really wish you would, or better yet, I love it when you do blah, blah, blah. Yeah. What can I do to make you feel respected?
Amen. And if you don't know, it is still loving and respectful to ask, to have that communication.
Absolutely.
You know, when we do counseling, sometimes I say, I need you to write down 3 things that will make you feel loved. And to the man, I need you to write down 3 things that will make you feel respected. And then you're going to give them to each other. And the challenge is for the next 30 days to practice it. Well, does it feel like love if I had to write it down? Well, get used to it. Because
we're not mind readers.
He has male pattern blindness, and so he needs this. And well, if I have to tell her it's not respect, absolutely it is.
Yeah.
If she sees that and goes, oh, if this will do this, I will respect him enough to do that.
And we don't think boy.
No, that's right.
Men can't read minds and girls can't speak boy. That's just...
You got it. So there is so much more that we could talk about, but we've gone beyond the boundaries of where we should already as far as time.
Sorry.
And I just want to encourage you that we've had a 3-session. This is the 3rd of 3 sessions on marriage. And Kathy, thank you so much for helping encourage us.
Thanks for having me.
I hope that if you were encouraged by this, go back and listen to the other 2. Please share this with others. It is such an important time for us to take seriously being good stewards of our relationships, especially our marriages. Genesis 2:18 says, "Then the Lord God said, 'It is not good that man should be alone. I will make a helper fit for him.'" And that is absolutely the truth. Thank you for being my helpmeet, sweetheart.
Oh, thank you.
Love you much. It has been a treat to be with you guys, and we'll be back next week with Mark, and we're going to dissect an incredibly important leadership message that he has given us. Can't wait to be a part of that. Until next time, please know that you're important and we love you at the Rural Pastor Podcast.
Like the prophet Jeremiah, you may be the one to go to the dying and the broken with a message of hope. To that church on the corner of that forgotten little town, to a room of empty pews where his love can still be found. You may never know of all the seeds you've sown, but it just takes one willing soul to make him known.
Thank you so much for joining us at the ruralpastorpodcast.com. A special thanks to Chosen Road for this incredible theme music, to 180 Digital, our corporate sponsor, and you can check out both of them at our website as well as other resources, because you're not alone. And Rural Pastor, we believe in you at the ruralpastorpodcast.com.